Hi everybody. Can you hear me? Please someone send me a text. Let me share a screen with you. And also okay, thank you for your text. I do appreciate time to time you sending me a text. So today we want to talk about let me sorry, let me change the screen. I want to yeah, I'm just trying to change the screen. I want to share with you because I'm stopping the sharing and then I just change the screen. Just bear with me a few seconds. I can use that option. I do apologize. This is it's slightly so now we have this, and also let me turn on the chat. Okay. Thank you. Today I want to talk about the. Can you see well? If it's small, I can make it bigger. But if you allow me to have this size, I can see my notes are underneath. So if you have problems seeing, it's important that you see what my screen properly. But if it's small, I can make it bigger, so I will lose my notes. So basically, you have two of your assignment. At the end of the month, you have to hand in. One is regarding job application, and the other one is to do with the science fiction prototype. And today is going to be, and obviously you would have your projects as well. But today I'm going to talk about job application and also about the scientific prototype and theory, how we go. So it's going to be two sets of a slide. The first one regarding the job application. In university, we do have something like a job center, the place where they can help you to get a career advice and help you to find jobs. I don't know how much you know about the campus, but if you know where the library is, it is it is just the building after library, Seaboard Student Center. So it's between the lake and the library. But if you cannot go there, you can always contact them by email. And here is the contact. it's important for you to contact these people and seek this help, our career advice, because we just don't want to make this an academic thing, but we want to help you to get along with your life, because you are making an important step to further your career by coming and doing a master's degree, and you have an aim. It does not need to be necessarily you're seeking a job. You might want to do a PhD, and they can help you as well. So some of you probably want to go and start an academic career. So by going into some PhD program, they would be able to help you to find your probably a good university. I don't know whether maybe Essex itself or some other university, and find a supervisor that you can work with. So what I'm going to talk about is mostly about job, finding job, and a little bit about PhD as well. So these are our aim. You need to think about your own skill and strengths, and planning your career, understanding the potential job market, where to look, and opportunities, where the opportunities are. I mean, as I said, whenever I was talking about job, remember some of you might want to do PhD, so we might help you. You have to sort of add that to it as well. More making a successful application include application form, CV, cover letter, and sometimes, I don't know, this is a cover letter or a personal statement. It's slightly different, but very similar. So you should be start thinking about career development. Sorry. So which of these describe you? You need to ask yourself which of these. I have no plan yet. I'm busy doing my master degree, and it is hard as it's going, or I just want to concentrate on my master degree, so I don't have any plan. Or you might say, oh, at the back of my mind, I have some rough plan, but it's not solidified. It's still in a mercurial stage, is liquid, and I'm not ready to talk about or think about it. Or some of you say, no, I know exactly what I'm going to do. It's not. So this is where you might be at one of the stages you might be at this point in your life. So this is sort of on a line with the career development series. It might be research, career development, and career choice. So you need to be self-aware and consistently identify a very important step, which you need periodically review this step. When I talk about self-awareness, I'm not talking about Zen Buddhist self-awareness, but as an entity, if you want to enter job market or academic career, you should know about yourself. If you want, so I want to go and do PhD. Are you academic type? Because it's not just because it's attractive, or if I want to go and looking job for as a developer, do I know any language? Because nowadays, if you want to do development job, you cannot just say, "Oh, I know Java or I know Python." So, and you need to know a whole host of programming languages, and you need to know platforms. If you know Java, you probably have to know Spring. If you know Python and you want to do web development, you might have to know Django and other platform for web development, or you at least been introduced and exposed to these things. So it's important when we are talking about knowing yourself. We're not talking about. So let me send you this link through the chat. I thought, sorry, this is no, it's not going to come up because it was just a link to go and look for career satisfaction. I can send you separately as an email if you allow me later. But it's not a major point on the lecture. So in that sense, I'm saying that, do you know yourself? Consider the strengths. So what do you do well? I mean, that is very important. Are you mathematical type, theoretical type? You can, or you have a unique skill or a skill set you can draw on. What other people see in you as your strength. As I said, I mean, significant other people. I'm not just talking about, when I say significant, I don't mean your wife or your mother. I'm talking about people who have an opinion in that field. I was recently talking with some friend who wanted, who done accounting. I wanted to do career change and come and do a master degree in data science. I said, okay, you need to have some understanding. You don't need to be mathematician understanding, but some understanding of mathematics. Do you know roughly what some calculus? You need to know a little bit of linear algebra and maybe a little bit of probability and statistics. Oh, I know this. I love maths. And okay, that's very good. Do you send her something integral? Obviously, you don't have to know how to integral because for a career in data science, because you can do that quite easily with some software, but you have to understand what it means. Integral is basically you are measuring the area under the curve, and because when we are trying to talk in this area, you need to understand the overall picture. I don't want to go sidetracking, but then, no, I done this thing 12 years ago at school. So you hear what I'm trying to say. I mean, the point about this story is you need to know what you want to do, and you need to have a realistic understanding of your essence. My mom thinks I'm very good at maths, might not be very good unless your mom is a lecturer at some university teaching mathematics. Also, you need to know your weaknesses, what let you down, what you feel is less scary. This might be not just your practical skill, but your ability to be able, because if you're going to become a programmer, you need to have a certain type of character, being able to sit there, dig into some sort of program or problem at least 7-8 hours. So you have to have an ability to sit down on your desk for a long time. This might sound tautology, say, okay, everybody can do that. There are people who cannot sit that long and focus that long. If you're not that type, either you have to do something about your character, or maybe should choose another set of a skill. Yeah, sorry, another set of job. So this is just a schematic of what I was trying to say in some sort of pictorial thing. So you look at your strengths, you look at your weakness, and then when you combine these things, you look at opportunity which would fit your unique circumstances and the threats. So basically, your interest and passion is very important, but it shouldn't be just because it's trendy. Okay, I like doing program working somewhere like deep learning because at the moment it's fashionable. But am I good at it? This is really important. Just because you like it, because it sounds very interesting, you have to answer to what level you understand it. Do you understand it at a level that you can code, or you understand it at a theoretical level? If you look at the same problem, now this picture give you from a career management view. So you know yourself, and then know the labor market. If you're choosing to go into the labor market, it's obviously it will be next year for you. When we have a student who are doing an undergraduate degree, we tell them that, okay, something which might be really sound trendy and fantastic, and you want to do it now, in 3 years' time might change. But I don't think so. The market is that volatile that it changes year to year. But choose something that would last for a while. So therefore, you have to decide on a long-term career and plan to get there. As you will, some of you probably coming for a job and you already know this. Employer looking for people who have a skill and can produce. If you are going to be employed to do a job that pay 40, 50, 60, maybe more £1,000 per year, they want you be able to generate more than that, so they can give portion of it to you as a salary. So if I know some basic Java, that wouldn't generate any sort of money. That somebody would want to employ you to sit there and do Java programming. So you need to gear yourself into something that you can produce value, that somebody say, oh, I want to employ this person because that's exactly what I need. So I'm just letting you to look through understanding yourself. So the values, what motivate you, what interests you, what influence you, personality, strengths, and skills. These are sort of bullet point of what we are talking about, that self-awareness concept. That you know thyself, that you know who you are and what you can offer. It's almost sometimes it's very difficult. I mean, it's easier said than done. I mean, you said, "Oh, do you know yourself?" Yeah, I mean, what do you mean? I mean, I'm person operating in this universe. Of course, I know myself, but sometimes it's very difficult to see. That's why sometimes career advisor might be able to help you about get into job market. Bearing in mind that job market is constantly changing, so matching exactly what you want is it realistic? Because I mean, I get in my email inbox every day lots of emails about job, because a few years ago I joined a job agency, and they always asking for a set of a skill set. It's always difficult to to be able to say, oh, I know all this set, every element of one Python, but I want it in a conjunction with the language Go, or I want Python with somebody who can do C with a mathematical skill doing this on this platform or other platform. Remember when you see the job advert, it would be, sorry, I just wanted it. It doesn't mean there is a job with this requirement and you have to go and sit there and start tomorrow on your, if you got the job and do this. They just giving you generally what the employer at this instant think they're the job they're offering or the jobs there in their company might require. So they try to, so they put the important requirement at the top, and gradually go lower. They might not be, they might be saying that, okay, if you get somebody have this top 3 or 4 skills, and then the bottom one are something they can pick on them at job, or we can send them for training. And what opportunities are there? Now, we went from knowing yourself to opportunity awareness. So you need to be aware of what opportunity are there. this is very important. I want to encourage you to go to this. All of these things are hyperlinked, so you can actually go to these pages and see the agency. For example, if you want to work in the tech sector, or you want to work on an engineering sector, the Indeed, the .co. It's a job, and you could look for various type of jobs there. So you need to know that what is on offer, or what sort of agency are there to help you in your endeavor to find job. So this is a little bit of self-advertising for us at the University of Essex, saying that we are very successful in guiding people and getting all a student, and all a student already successful in a job market. This is the last, living 6 months after graduation, that we all a student end up in this sort of job: web development, teacher, IT consultant. I mean, there's a big list, and I just don't want to go and read one by one, and you can see them. And these are coming from the real life data we get with our students, and some of our students who are more academic inclined, they go and pursue a PhD and academic career. I'm not sure about every country, but generally, if you want to go into academic career, you need to have a PhD in UK. I think this is universal, but I'm not 100% sure. These are, again, the name of some of the companies, the agencies which you can go, and this is hyperlink, and find job in different sectors. If you're in computing and programming job, this is very big one. Also job tech, but this is basically, it's quite like the CW jobs. For a wider role, you can. This is for academic job, the top one, and then there is also Guardian, the newspaper Guardian job. You can go and look. Read is another. Read and Indeed are two sorts of job, but they are not. Although you can find programming and computing job there, but they seem to have a much wider sort of field. They cover a wider field. It's also Monster, because I think it's an American thing, but they're very active in UK, and they do find job as well. Okay, this. Think out of the box, and this is a picture of a box. It's important you think about the implication of what sort of organization you want to join. Are you looking to join a small, dynamic company? They usually pay very well, but they want, if they are small and they employ you, they want you to be able to stand on your feet from day one, and start running. So you need to be very good at your job. And it has if you're that type of person, or you have that sort of a skill set that you can do working at a maximum thrust, these companies are very good because they pay very well. You might not have a very long-term career with them, but they pay really good well, and your skill set would be rapidly deepening and getting stronger. So you would be always right to go from one job to another. So you stay one place and go next one, and you go medium size. Let me talk about the big company, and then we talk about medium size. In a big company, when they recruit you, big companies like British Petroleum or BT, when they recruit you, they have a big HR department. They have a big set of procedures to get new people, and what they do is they give you all sorts of tests, and then once you got the job, you go there. They send you lots of introductory courses so to guide you through your job. So you might not be, so you might have to have some skill which you can start working, but they want to guide you and mold you into some sort of corporate culture, and that would be maybe suitable for some people. There are also hidden market. What I mean by hidden market is every employees, whether so the medium size, before going to hidden market, medium size is some sort of combination between the big companies and a small company. So you might have to start working, but they have enough flexibility to accept people who are not at the top end of their skill for a particular job, but they can tolerate a little bit of learning period. So if you know Java enough to write complex program, but you're not a advanced programmer, really advanced. I'm not talking advanced as doing your project, but somebody who can manage a medium-sized project, industrial project. They can give you some leeway to get there. And they might not have a big budget for training and corporate molding you into some sort of corporate culture, but they have time and money to let you to develop in your career. Apart from this system, there are sometimes hidden job. Because every employer, whether it's big or small, they are at the end of the day, they are providing some sort of service. So we are basically in some sort of service industry. We are because you're not getting trained here to do manual job or manufacturing job. You are as a computer scientist or electrical engineering, you are going to market which you need to develop and create some sort of value. And if you're good at what you do, whether it's academic or, so you can sometimes write to the companies and say, I'm interested in working for your company because this, and I'm really skillful, and basically give the list of your skill and demonstrate how you can. And sometimes if they really need people like you, they would invite you to an interview or chat, and then you can mesmerize them with your skill set. And if they like you, they probably offer you the job, because at the end of the day, they want somebody who can create value. So you can send some sort of speculative application. This is some sort of other links to all the blue things or hyperlinks. And if you want to work outside the UK, we recently came out of EU. Before we could, if you were UK resident or part of EU resident, you could get some job in Europe, but it's not completely shut down to you, but it's not as easy as it used to be. But there are other countries and other places you can still work, because having a skill set which can generate wealth is always desirable by employer. Well, this slide is about if you want to do PhD, and you will go either finish your, obviously to do PhD you need, there are people who go finish their undergraduate, they're really good university, their university, they think they are brilliant, and they might offer them, or some supervisor might offer them a PhD position, so they can start doing their PhD straight from undergraduate. This might vary from country to country, but this is, I'm talking about the UK. So there is a path direct from undergraduate to PhD, but more often than not, university, they want to see, because in undergraduate also you do have a project. It's not as serious as the MSc project. So most universities, if they want, or the supervisor, they want to see you how you're doing at your master degree project, and that is really important. I think the project you're doing for a 901 is really important. If you're academic type and you want to go into a PhD program, make sure you do very well on your project, and show, you have to demonstrate by doing some research aspect of what I mean is, which has a research value, to convince your potential supervisor for PhD that you are a type who are academic minded and who is capable of creating academic paper and research material. And then from there, if you done this, you can, sometimes you can go to PhD rather from master. You can go as a research assistant and then go to PhD. But once you got your PhD, you can either become teaching fellow or principal teaching fellow. So you go into the teaching thing, or you might go become lecturer or senior lecturers, reader, professor, but these are all long-term things. Or do some postdoctoral. Postdoctoral, it doesn't mean there's another, the highest level of education, and in the UK is PhD. Postdoctoral is a job, basically, it's a research job. Supervisor either get some sort of budget and employ somebody and say, can you come and do research for, because you got a PhD, I know you can do this job, So obviously he or she would interview you and to find out whether you are capable of doing the job. And then you do 2 to 3 years research for a project. You don't, at the end of it, you don't get another certificate saying that you're a postdoc. It basically, PhD is the highest level of achievement in UK. This is just an example. For an academic job, this is the jobs.ac.uk is the most famous site to go to if you're looking for a lectureship, but you generally need, as I said, a PhD in this. I want to get a job in UK for this. And sometimes there is already a research assistant. There is an example of it, for example, University of Glasgow offering. Going in the theme of they're doing PhD, so we talked about jobs a little bit. I want to say a little bit about the PhD. In UK, it takes 3 or more. Before you could register as a PhD and stay there for a long time. But now, if you register as a PhD, you have to be finishing some type of really top student who can finish within 3 years. And if you're not finishing 3 years, you have to be showing that, oh, you're at the cusp of finishing, so they might give you a little leeway to finish it into 3.5, 4 years. But generally, universities, they don't encourage a student to stay longer, because there used to be a long time ago, you could register for PhD and stay for 10 years or 15 years and do little job here and there, some teaching, some lab work, and in background you were registered as a PhD student. That era is finished. No, university now put a stop to that, and if you are not finishing by 3rd year, or you don't have a prospect of finishing very soon after 3rd year, they would sort of move you on. So it's very important, if you're doing PhD, you be the type of person who can do it. Generally, PhD, your supervisor might have some sort of fund he or she got from the Research Council in the UK. There used to be a EU fund, but that is now closed. University might, very small occasion, they might fund you, or you might fund some other sources, some charities or some organization. They might, or some job they would if you're in employment, you could get your employer pay for you to do your PhD at the part-time or something. Where these things advertise, again, job.ac.uk. So this is an academic job. Find a PhD is another one, and researchgate.net, which you can look. So for PhD, you have to apply for a, you want to apply for a PhD, you need to have an academic CV and a personal statement or letter application, because basically you want to convince a supervisor and the university you're applying to do PhD that you are capable of doing PhD. So you need to show a project because you're done, or and say, okay, and if your supervisor is interested in that field or something, you can go and have a discussion with him or her, and he or she would decide whether from the discussion you had or some of the project you've done that this person is the right person for me, because supervisors are doing research themselves. So you need to fit into their research scheme of things. And if you find supervisor, this is really important, because finding the right supervisor is very important if you're going for a PhD. This example is on model. You have to basically write a statement or a letter and explaining your interest. So let's go into personal supporting statement. This statement is generally like a cover letter. And you basically explain about why this course of PhD you want to do or job you want to do. And you need to obviously done some sort of research about the institution or the employer. So it shows that you're not just randomly sending your application, showing that you have research, you know what they're doing, or so you need to address this at this point. And also you have to show you're matching some entry criteria for the job. I mean, for all these things, there is in this lecture hyperlink. Now, I strongly advise you, if you are interested, go to hyperlink, read it, because it gives you further information. Going back to job, what the recruiter want, I mean, we talked about this from your point of view, but the other side of the equation, because they tango to two to tango when you're looking for a job, and okay, you are able to do that, but you have to be able to see this process of finding a job from employer's point of view. And first and foremost for employer, it's a competency. If you're coming across as somebody who's needy, who's want to ask question about everything, and basically you need somebody to hold your hand, they don't want you, because they want you to be able to own a project, even if it is a small part of a project, and show initiative to do the job. If you're the type of person who, for a small assignment, bombarding your lecturer or supervisor with lots of email, you're not giving that vibe that, oh, I'm capable of doing my thing, doing independent job. You need to give that competence persona and show that you are capable. And obviously you have to know your job as well. Because sometimes I'm receiving lots of email from, mostly from a few students who keep giving questions that they can answer themselves. You know, if they look at the notes or do you think they, you need to sort of learn not to do that, because that basically undermine you the fact that you are competent and you can do a job. It's very important to be self-aware about this thing. And then they also want to know, are you motivated? I like it because it's a really nice company or give lots of good money. That's all good. I mean, that's good motivation, but they want to know whether you're somebody who motivated to do this job because you see this as some sort of career plan, and this is something you're passionately like. And it's very important. They want to know whether you fit into organization, culture and values. We were talking about the big and small companies before. No matter which size company you go, that company always has an ethos, and you need to be part of that ethos. You cannot just go from day one and say, I want to change because I think it's wrong. You have to become part of that philosophy, and it's important for you to demonstrate, so they would assess you on your ability to fit into the company. So think about your competency, because that is what the potential employer will think. Think about demonstrating that you're a motivated person, and what you want to do is not just some sort of passing passion, but it's something that you passionately like. And also your ability to fit into the culture, your willingness to fit into some certain values. So it's another technique for, sometimes this set of slide looks as some sort of unrelated, but we are trying to show you everything that you require to do the job. And this thing also help you with this assignment as well. So each point of the star showing, one is a situation you face, and then the task. So in a situation, set of seeing where and what is important, the task, outline the problem and challenge you have to do. The action is what specifically did you do to deal with it, and the result, I'm just reading from the thing, I don't know whether you can see my note at the bottom. What you do yourself to solve the problem. These are sort of value. So some sort of fridge magnet sort of thing. You need your CV, your personal statement and letters and application form, and you might be with your CV, you might be called to some sort of assessment center or video interviewing with the personal letter, some sort of presentation or panel review interview, an application telephone interview or psychometric test. This is, we don't deal with in this lecture, but some employer are interested in this. In past, it was a big thing. They spent lots of money and time setting this sort of thing. I need to go slightly quicker. Making an impression with your CV, and I'm just going slightly faster because I have another set of a slide on a science fiction thing, so I want to finish it on an hour with this one, so I start the next hour with the science fiction. It's saying how long you think employer would look at your thing, 1 minute, 2 minutes. It says not 7 seconds. Basically, they don't have time to read the detail or something. They want to see whether they get impressed, and then if they are impressed, they might dig in further to it. But if the first impression is bad, they might not even look further. And then we're going to talk about CV example. So in your CV, you need to say what you have got to offer, your knowledge, your degree, your set of experience if you had work in this field. If you're looking for a employment in the software industry, going on and on about you had a summer job while you were a student in some store as a sales assistant might not be very good. I'm not saying that don't say it would. It would show that you are motivated. You always been into job market. You fit in very well. But mention is in a very short sentence rather than going on about it, because the skill you're looking for is not shop assistant skill. It would be what you can offer for the job. So I'm not saying don't include your other experiences, but concentrate on the main one, which relate to the job you're looking for when you're writing the CV and job experience. What the employer, graduate employers want from a CV. I think this is from Cal University, so you can go and read it. Write the CV in a first person. I done this. I achieved this. So everything has to be in first person. Maximum 2 sides of A4. That's a max. Don't write a huge War and Peace book. They are not interested to read this. If there are some keywords, highlight them. Your extracurricular activity should be included and stand out. Don't use your photo or something, or photos. 10 things which would cause immediate rejection. I think your spelling. I mean, it doesn't sort of permeate any confidence. If you're spelling or because the spelling error or grammar error in your CV, they will just reject it. Exaggerating truth. These are people who there's a team who comes and do the interviewing, and they've seen quite a loss of potential employer, and so if you exaggerate, they would catch you quickly. So be truthful. Poor form. I think these are really important point that you have to pay attention. Tailor your CV for the job you want, and you do need to write about your hobbies. I don't want to read everything because we have very limited time But these are important. You need to say, they don't want somebody who's nerd, because you give the impression that you are not type of person who fit into a team. If you say, oh, I never done play football or any teamwork, or I don't have anything interest outside, this is not the right character. This is not somebody who would fit into our culture. Let's quickly go over the cover letter. In cover letter, introduce yourself, and then why you're interested in a job. These are points. This is not intended, this part, the right part is not intended to be seen, but if you want to see it, this is just an example of the cover letter. You know, why you want the job and how you match the job. So that is the ground you have to cover for this 4 point in a cover letter. So cover letter, so key point is they must say why you're suitable for this job. So you have to do your research, the role and the employer. Target, tailor your application for each role you apply for. So they know you are a thorough person. You look at the job. You're not just writing some generic application to everybody. It shows interest and it shows focus. I don't know somebody. If you want to talk, say anything, say it in chat, and then I can see, and if it is appropriate, I will reply. But don't have time for. You have to meet the job description and also be concise. Don't ramble on. I don't have time to give you access to talk. You just, if you have any problem, anything you want to say, please just text it in the chat. Somebody's trying to raise a hand. So application for personal detail, education, these are the section you have to, employment history. Some of this would be also in your CV. References. Don't put references if they don't ask, but if they ask, you do need to put. So these are really important. This is an assignment which you have to do. 5 job or PhD. So if you want, you don't need to be all job. So PhD could be included if you want to apply for PhD, and it has to be done by 30th of June. These are some resources you can apply, and then this is just last slide of this. Then I am going to in this set of a slide, and I'm going to talk about brainstorming exercise. Quite a few people are still panicking and keep sending email. I send you as advanced warning that's something you should look, because it's coming as your as an assignment for this course. It's only 4-5 mark. It's not a, and it's not a huge thing, but obviously created some anxiety in very few people. So this lecture will go through what is this exercise is about, a brainstorming exercise, science fiction prototype. Yeah, it's only four this is some sort of science fiction. Science fiction is, I'm not talking about something futuristic, but something as small, something you can, and all you have to do is, maybe at the end I'll give you exactly what you have to do, but you have to write something like 162 to 180 characters, around 30 to 50 words. So it's not a huge exercise. So even if you don't do it, which I highly recommend you do, because it's just easy mark, you get maximum of 4 marks. So don't panic. I think previous lecture was able to give the winner or the best one an award, this booklet. I have no access to this award, so please don't. But I didn't want to take it out of the note, so leave it. But you are not going to get any awards. You can get a pat on the back by yourself. If you think you've done very well, you can pat yourself on the back. So we are going through some slide, and the slide looks slightly disjointed, but the overall is going to convey the same message about what you have to do. And we talk about the micro and macro. So you want here is a micro thing, which only you have to write a story, very short story in as I said previously, 30 to 50 words. It's not big. So, but the note here, the note will talk about both micro and micro. So this is a process. I mean, being a computer science and saying everything has to be in a schematic and pictures and things. So don't panic. This is basically talking about the cycle of doing creative thinking. So you have a dreams or idea for better world of certain topics, like being healthier, being safer, being more comfortable, or more fun, or some other things. These are some fuzzy things going in your head, and in this schematic thing, and you have some leap of imagination and doing some research and development. This is a sort of black box of research, and with some sort of delay, you tune it in your head, and you come up with some ideas. And if these ideas are tangible ideas, which are practical, it comes out as output. And if it doesn't, it is not tangible, is sort of too needs further refinement. So you would pass it to this box. This is another black box. You chew the things inside your head, or and then, but so this idea will go another leap of imagination and goes back and come back. Project proposal. Somebody asking me about project proposal. Project proposal is something you need to talk with your supervisor. The reason is not I'm trying to avoid do that. Is if I say anything to you, and your supervisor says a slightly different message, they would create confusion. So the person who's in charge of project proposal is your supervisor. So, and there is a sort of clear division of labor here, and I don't want to step into somebody else's territory. I strongly advise you to anything about the project proposal, please go and talk with your supervisor. It can initially be started with an email. So going back to what I was saying is it's sort of these parts in which you become a tangible idea and you produce them. These are which are a bit sort of not very tangible idea. You bring it back to the process, so this process can have some sort of iterative value, and you come up with these stories. This is not a difficult exercise, and I know it sounds, because you might have seen it, it might sound a bit sort of fandabidosi. It's not anything exciting to write home about. Oh, dear mom, I've been given this. No, this is nothing exciting, and you can all do it, and an easy mark. So for easy full mark, don't worry about it. So out of this part, where you have tangible idea, you need to select the idea. You have to create some sort of persona. These are also disjointed slide. It's not written by me, but overall they will help you to do this exercise, not very complex. So you create some sort of persona for your story, and a marketing persona. I mean, here it gave some sort of embodiment into some character called Rachel, a small business owner. So you can do this, but if your story records something like this, you don't necessarily need to do it. But if your story record a persona to be an actor in your story, so to make it solidify this process of creating this story, you might start thinking slightly bigger and then condense it into 30 to 50 words. But in order to write a good story, have character and hooks and things like this. So you need to basically it's trying to guide you how you can create these things. This is a similar concept. If you've done some sort of software engineering exercise, UML, I think that if you, this is nothing to do with UML. I'm not asking you. Sometimes you create just trying to give you another hook in your way of thinking to develop this story. So you don't need necessarily to go out down this road. So if you are familiar with this concept like UML, you would have sorry, I'm trying to make it slightly bigger. So I'm just going through this. I don't think you would be able to read these texts. I mean, if you want to read them, another way of sort of developing it. So you would have a buyer if your story has character who are sellers and buyer. And by sellers and buyer, I don't mean necessarily in some sort of commercial interaction, but you think it in more generic sense. If you have people who are trying to provide some sort of service and people who are consuming this sort of service, and I mean in the most general way, you can come up with this sort of in a course of studying your for doing your thing, because the project doesn't require you to do any of these things, but just trying to help you along how to develop this story. You can draw for yourself, not as a part of the exercise. This sort of schematic picture, and then you can go and read some of this detail. Just because this was a small, I went to a PDF version with go back to other one because there was some notes underneath. If I need to, I will switch back to PDF and I can expand it. These are again giving you some sort of pictorial way of thinking. If you have, because you want to write this story, and the story might be you want to create some product or to solve some problem, and you might go through these sorts of steps. And my own feeling is, I mean, these things are more confusing than giving helping, but if you understand what is trying to say, it's not trying to tell you that necessarily you should go through this step, saying that these are, if in your story, in your product you want to write about at the end of the exercise, if you want to, these are ways of going through this, through the development of your idea. So you might have some central theme describing, and then and it's just sort of, again, you look at it, these are another idea to develop things. The next picture would become more clear what it is. Next slide. So you might have all this concept in your head, floating around your head, like a joy of discovery, questioning, willingness to risk, desire to learn, and only thing you have in your head. And remember, we are talking in the context of imaginative leap. So you have in your, the way your brain is just keep bombarding with this new idea. So I'm juggling with all these balls, and each of these balls are the instigator of a new thought or some idea. And this look more like some sort of fearful, as though these ideas are screaming out of your head. But you want to, where do they come from? You want to think about where they come from, how do we communicate these ideas, and how the help we get, and also ideas are important. So we need to, for what? solving problem, creating new product, or generating money. I mean, if it's a good idea. This is some sort of a statistical chart which shows where the business get new product and new idea. And as you can see from this chart, a small amount coming from the motivation of the programmer, and then come from this amount come from if somebody raise hand. Unfortunately, I cannot stop the lecture and answer. If you have question, please text it in the chat, and I will answer if it's concerning the lecture. So it's basically just giving them a statistical thing based on it and past data, where the new idea is coming. But majority of them coming from either research and development or competition analysis, some from customers. The whole thing, I think, it started from the Intel. I'll send you a link for the YouTube to watch. An Intel chip is a life cycle occupies 7 to 10 years from the concept, from its inception, to be shipped into, to sort of be posted to as a product into consumers. And then what being shipped, for example, a processor or some component of the motherboard, because that's what Intel is into electronic. And once it's there, it takes another 15 years to be a live product. I mean, some people will keep it longer, but Intel might not be committing itself after that. So if they want to come up with new chip, which doesn't exist now, they have to think about something that comes out in 7-10 years. So how do they know what to put in it? If it's some new product, and that is the whole exercise of this science fiction prototyping concept came from, which we are asking you to do. So you might have to go to previous slide where you have this idea concept as a ball just floating around your head. The main Intel resource is engineering. I mean, it's both traditional engineering education courses, structured and an incremental sort. So it's basically going through some sort of already existing pattern. But this exercise is not about existing pattern. It's coming with a new idea. And if you want to come with a new idea, that's why you are committing to this sort of exercise. And in Intel, when you go for a job interview or something, or encourage its employer to do something like this, to come with a new idea, they write these fictional stories about technology. This is not very futuristic. It's not something that you would do, I don't know, in 100 years' time, or ideas like being beamed up into a spaceship with some sort of a Star Wars saying, or it's something that in 10 years' time, it is within the reach of the technology. So if you expand the technology, it's not something just you program it now and you can do it now, but you have to imagine something that can be done within the next 10 years. So the method used is people imagine and write a short fictional story, which would extrapolate the research and create some sort of prototype for it. The story has to be believable. It's not something, is not sort of complete, as I say, it's not about something that technology or is not so how do I put it? It's not just sort of you just create it in your imagination and only live in your imagination. It has to be something that doable. This tradition coming from, in lots of cultures, we in order to tell something, we tell that saying as some sort of parable. You might be familiar with Aesop fables. Also in India, you have Panachatrana. I don't know how to pronounce it. I do apologize if I'm. It's a story about animals' interrelationship, some sort of fable which is interrelated. But what it does at core is want to give you a message, but instead of coming and telling you the message directly, it tells you through some sort of stories. A fable, for example, the very famous one is the boy who cried a wolf. He keep coming and saying, "Oh, wolf, wolf," and then when people coming to help him, he is laughing at them. And then when one day wolf come, he cry wolf again, and nobody come because they think he's been funny or he's joking. And it's just sort of by the objective of the story is telling you that don't cry wolf. Or there's another story, a favorite story about the don't kill the geese which lay the golden egg. This is trying to convey a message, and this message is basically telling you that if something is working and it's not within your capability, just dismantle it. Because if you kill a goose, it's finished, done. That there is no, you cannot put it together and try to restart it. So this is in that sort of general idea that you tell a story, tell what you want to say in a context of a story. I send you this because this is a hyperlink. I send you this so that you want to look at what's interesting or what I mean. But these are just giving you some idea what we are trying to do in this exercise. So this is so this is a story describe a future and innovation that you want to or you desire, and this would help you persuade people. If you're, for example, talking about a product, whether this product is some consumer goods, you want to persuade them to buy by telling them in sort of Aesop fables way of creating this story. There are two types. Either they're going to be micro, which we are for assignment you have to do, or macro. Macro would be a bigger story. But we talk about a little bit about macro as well. But what you have to do is basically micro is a smaller one. So just going through the saying that this is just it is 25 to 30 words, maybe 50, but at the beginning we said that it's just sort of like a fable, like a parable or anecdote or saying or adage, proverb or maxim. And so basically in that tradition we are trying to create the story. In English, we say micro fiction or nano-fiction in some other languages. I'm not very good at pronouncing, but you have in a Latin American ficciano, and I don't know, in French novella, and in Chinese, I don't know, this is obviously been translated, a minute long or a smoke long story. So in that sort of tradition, you want to write the story. So giving some more point, if you're talking about product or technology and services, you would have a user who would use this product. You would have some sort of event or a benefit it would give you. And you would have some, these are sort of enumerated steps you may want to go through for a simple writing procedure. Start identifying an innovative technology process. So first you have to identify what you want to address, and then you have to think of the user who might want to use your product. And then you have some sort of event or some sort that this user would be benefiting from this. And then you go through this. You start big, but gradually condense the story into a few things. It will give you a few examples in this lecture. This is an example. For example, this is a macro story. This is sort of thing you have to do, sort of thing you have to do for your assignment. Here you're Jack, who is the player in this thing, but you don't fall asleep in the sun. He's a small sun protection sense woke him up with an alarm and a soft vibration to avoid the sinus stroke. So this is basically sort of thing you want to do. So this is and a story you told in a very small number of words is a technology that you have a sensor that see the sun heat is going up, and and also sense that Jack is asleep by capturing some sort of brain wave activity, and this would trigger some event in this product you're trying to you're talking about, and this generate soft alarm or vibration. So that is exactly, this is an example. So if you want to get an idea, or this one is another one, is Amy cannot diet, but her bracelet helped to stop her eating a naughty treat, something which is high calorie, over instead of salad, and it comes tight on her wrist and shock her. So basically, this is another device. So you create a persona, call Amy, and you. So obviously, this is slightly futuristic because it has to have a knowledge of what is naughty or what is treat. Might not be now available. You have to be some sort of device which would fit in a bracelet, connected wirelessly or through Wi-Fi or something to some database, maybe online database, and then that would say, oh, and has to have some sort of awareness of she just started eating. So the story doesn't go into describing why all these things, but that's why it's slightly science fictional, but it's not science fictional that which would do something unachievable. Maybe in some context might be achievable. In this sense, you would be able to come up with a product in 7-10 years. I mean, here the persona, here Jack is yourself, I mean, or a person who wrote it. I mean, let me go through these things because some people, they think this is a really big thing. OMG, where did you get your coat from? He's asking where did you get your coat from? It was only one left in the store. I can 3D print it. Thank you so much. It's slightly more futuristic, but can you produce a coat by 3D printing? But it's still sort of within the realm of possibility, and it would be a credible thing for you to do. Or this is something to do with the Internet of Things. With my new e-fridge, I can have my cake and stay at home. I came home, too full stock of food and no court order for the drunkenness. So you can have everything in home. So it's talking about if he got his drink outside, then he might get a court order. I mean, this is a slightly more futuristic because he's talking about the wormhole. So he wants to eat sushi and has to go through some sort of wormhole to Japan. And so talking about the technology user event, these are the elements in your story you want to consider. These are not the instructions. It's not some sort of thing you can go so to turn as some sort of handle and make it. But these are the sort of things you can do. This is not nothing to do with your assignment, but sort of if you want to write a macro story, a bigger story, you can go through this step. It would be a bigger, multi-page. But as I said, this is nothing to do with your assignment. This is just maybe you want to establish something bigger and then condense it. But that is if you want to take this path. So when you have longer a story, you can talk about the technology, you can talk about the stakeholder who will benefit from your thing. You would approach it slightly differently. So you would talk about again, if the exercise was about the macro level, you would talk about this, think about the structure. You might have a size of 4 to 12 page, so you can give a little bit of background, 1 or 2 page, and you could have some sort of summary and the references and things. This is Johnson's five step for a science fiction prototyping. So you go through these 5 steps. As I said, these are a slide just to help you and guide you through what you have to do. Because I received quite a lot of email. You have to wait. If somebody asks you about PowerPoint, yes, it is about PowerPoint, but if you wait, at the end, I'll tell you exactly what it is. Because that's the end of this set of a slide. And we have another maybe 5-10 minutes to go through it. Maybe they're slow because next 10 minutes. So you have to go through these 5 steps. And this is another example is about a robot called Jimmy and the issues that arose through mimicking the irrational step of human in robot based on experience of the PhD student Simon, who went to Malaysia following his girlfriend, the girl he loved, and he got heartbreak. It just sort of giving you some sort of idea of what sort of thing you're looking at. I'm not. You have to have a technological aspect to it because this is about science, and you want to. So for your project, think of something which has a science and technology aspect to it. This slide talks about the origin and the genesis of this idea. It started from Intel, and it's very interesting. But because I want to go and talk a little bit about the assignment, because quite a lot of you are asking about it. So I just want to escape this thing because they just give you another idea of how to brainstorm for this story. You can read it yourself. Or not really necessarily a step you want to take it if you want to take it, and we've been giving throughout this lecture that how you have to do. So it can be quite a lot to do with in terms of thing. But you can push the idea slightly further in terms of thing. Mine today might not be able, but it potentially can give envisage an idea of a society which everything is connected. A few years ago, there was a problem. People were hacking to people this Internet of Things, this processor, and creating havoc. But putting the security aspect aside, this is sort of it would be more desirable for this exercise. You as a technology worker, coming up with the idea which have more things. I'm keep getting an email every day. I'm getting an email from one or two of you in a systematic way, and asking me lots of questions. I also, if I could create a device that you could put it. This is just it's slightly a jest rather than in seriousness. So my story of this, as I'm giving my story, created some sort of processor which would put it to a student, monitor their heart if they get anxious, the heart rate going up, and they want to write an email to the lecturers. And some of you writing 2 or 3 emails every day, even Saturday and Sunday, in the evening, late evening. If this goes up, it give you some pulse and stop you doing this. Look, think about it. This is not the right time to do it. So this sort of saying, idea basically. I don't know. The other thing is a small city. This is a project. I started with some big company like IBM a few years ago. I think it's still going, and this is basically they are envisaging cities to be more connected, so that everything in the city are more connected. Seoul, I was reading about Seoul, the capital of the South Korea. There is everything getting there. All the different aspects of the city life is being connected through some sort of mega system, which big company want to control and make more money. IBM was very hugely into this, but it wasn't just IBM. I think Intel was another one. I know BT was interested in it as well, but so they were looking at it, but mostly some huge corporation in the US. And in this universe, everything is connected. So these are just giving you some idea about sort of thing you can think about. It's just basically not really important. I just want to go. Talk about the technological singularity. Right? It's also another idea. It can come up. I said the moment the machine intelligence would exceed human intelligence, it's not going to be a moment. It's going to be a process. Even now, machine intelligence at some level exceeded human intelligence, but do we have an overarching AI technology can sort of take over? And it's slightly at the moment a realm of science fiction, but for purpose of this exercise, this sort of thing can give you some inspiration. I just want to go to the last serious one. This serious slide, I'm just going to just concentrate about this assignment. First two are introductory, and then the third one is the meat of the assignment. So this is an individual exercise, so it's not a group exercise. So this is very important on this project. Innovation focus on a theme of Internet of Things. I mean, this is an idea, but it has to do with the technology. It's not a creative writing exercise. So you want to write about this guy who went to Malaysia after his girlfriend. That is not the type of story I'm looking for this exercise. I'm looking for something to do with the technology, to do with some product that can be used or made. So for yourself, these are not part of what you have to do. Write, choose lots of ideas. This is quantities. I'm talking about the quantity, not quality. Don't think about practicality at this stage, but later on you can filter it. Think a little bit out of the box. Don't try to reinvent the wheel again, or some products are already there or something similar already there. This is a step you have to take. And then select one of these stories you wrote, select one of them, create a short story, theme of the, as I said, look at this theme, look at these stories, two stories about Jack who fall asleep and his a smart sensor wakes him up, or Amy's bracelet prevent her to. That sort of thing would be more desirable. And this is the sort of meat of what you have to be doing. It's prepare two slides, PowerPoint slide, provide information about your name, course, etc. List 3 ideas you generated, and then present that your micro science fiction prototype, which is something like 25 to 50 letters, not letters, sorry, words. Explain the business opportunity it might create. So this is indeed your serious slide, two slide. Remember, this is only 4 marks. Don't overkill it. So don't go and spend enormous amount of time on it. This is a very simple, remember at core, this is a simple exercise, require not that much effort. If it was something like a 50 mark, so okay, you need to, whenever you're doing, whether in an exam or doing coursework, you have to look at the mark. The mark give you indication of how much time you have to spend. Even if you're slow, this shouldn't take days and days. So remember, that. So don't overkill, don't make it something that, because some of you have this tendency to panic. Mercifully, it's a very small number of you. So don't worry, this is not a big thing. Basically, not homework, is an assignment which has to be posted to the Fraser, and we went through everything. This is the end. I hope I answered all your questions. As I said, don't panic. This is a very small exercise, and it has only 4 marks. And I am sure all of you can come up with some story. If you don't get all 4, you will get most of the marks. So this is not a big thing you need to be concerned. Job thing, I think it's slightly more effort you have to make. But I forgot how many marks it has, but if you want, I can look and find out how much. or you have to get for a job. I hope you have a good week, and I'm sure you will contact me as you've been doing. I'll see you next week. I think next week will be final lecture, and after that we would have one exam preparation or lecture. So next week will be final teaching lecture. See you next week, if everything is okay. I'm trying to. Yeah. Bye now.